Good afternoon, Sean here, Mountains Garage, on a beautiful November afternoon. I love Halloween, but I'll never get used to waking up the next day and boom, November's right in your face. Could snow any minute. But today, it's nice. I've got some stuff done outside. Just met the school bus, and I got a couple minutes to talk about what's going on with my dot blocked Ilmor 396. I gotta come up with a better name for it, but this coming Saturday, I would have owned it 2 weeks. It was a total surprise when I woke up 2 weeks ago on a Saturday morning that by the end of the day, I would have a dot SHP LS Next, and it's a good one. I wanted a solid platform to build a really powerful LS motor for my Race 55 Chevy. I figured that was going to be a long ways off, and I was going to build one of the many stock blocks I get laying around here. I have an aluminum 5.3 and a 6.2, and in cast iron I got the rest of them, 4.8, 5.3, 6.0, and I probably would have done a rod and piston, forged rod and piston, stock crank, just to get my feet wet. And I still might, but I happened into this. I traded a transmission for it, a 3-speed transmission, and here it is. So, like many things in my life, when I get something, I mean, the trade was offered. I was headed over a few towns over to hopefully come back with a GM Performance block, and I had not studied either one, but that one looked more LS-like than this, and that holds true. And again, like a lot of things in life, once I get something, whatever it is, the mill, this, then my studying begins, and I want to absorb as much information as possible so I can make good decisions moving forward. And that's an important step. You have to understand what you're working with and what the differences are. And I've learned over almost the last 2 weeks the differences between the GM Performance block and the dot block. What I read is in the Ilmor program, which is ARCA, the series, Craftsman Truck series, the SRX series, and probably others run this, I guess you'd call it a crate motor or a spec motor. Let's call it a spec motor. And it's built to be way overbuilt, super reliable, go 1,500 miles and they get rebuilt, where they change out the common parts. And that's where a lot of the parts that I have came from, including the block. This block was cycled out. It looks like it was honed. End of the bore was perfect, and it sat around, whatever reason, the bore's got a little bit of rust. I hesitate to even call it rust, stains in it, and they reject it. So I have, long story short. So as I get studying the differences, some things are a pro and some things are a con, comparing the dot to the GM Performance. But to finish my thought, the GM Performance blocks went in the Chevrolets, and all the other brands, whatever they want to put for a grill emblem, got a dot block, but it's the same engine for the most part. Shares a lot of the same parts. Some stuff is different, starting with main bearings. Because it has a traditional 4-bolt main style cap where an LS bolts through the side. I don't have both bearings next to me, but I have many sets of LS main bearings. I didn't think I'd be buying bearings. However, the dot LS Next has their own specific main bearing. When I buy main bearings, I like to buy, you can buy them, this is a standard set. I have a brand new crankshaft, so I have a standard set of bearings, and they also have an X bearing, extra clearance, 1/1000th bigger. This is going to be a dry sump. It has to be, there's no other option. And I imagine I'm going to be looking for the X bearing, but you have to have something to physically measure, and my goal of the whole project is to low buck this, low buck. I'd like to have the whole engine together for $5,000 or less. So, including the that's my total involved cost, and ultimately run 7-second quarter mile and have 12 to 1400 horsepower for $5,000 and have it reliable. Why not? I'm pretty good at shopping, so some things there's no way getting around. The specific LS Next Baron, not popular, 3 times what an LS main Baron costs. So I bought a standard set to start with, and when I finish, I'm gonna hone the block real quick, clean it all up, and then I'll start mock assembly. So I now have all the parts in the garage here to assemble the entire motor for the most part, other than nut or bolt or something. So I started with this set of standard Barons. They're king. They're actually slightly cheaper than other options, but if I have to buy 2 sets to come up with the proper clearances, so be it. But this just showed up. I bought a bunch of the miscellaneous stuff through Summit Racing, and obviously they got them right out of King. Everything else came direct from Summit, and sometimes, way back, Summit was 2 days for me, 3 at the most. Lately they've been 4 to 5. I ordered Monday night, and I had the majority of my order yesterday, and the rest of it today. This is Thursday, yeah, so not bad. This was direct ship from the manufacturer, still got them today, so that's the only big piece I was missing, I think. The dot block, again, it's an SHP LS Next. It's the 220 compacted graphite, the best iron block they make. It's kind of heavy, 220 pounds. ARP studs. It has the 60 millimeter roller cam bearings. The dot specific parts are the cam plate. I just bought that. It was a bonus. It was only $22, I believe, for the dot block. The GM Performance one is several hundred. So as a pro for the dot block, if you happen to be shopping or happen to be, these motors are going to be everywhere eventually, as they get leaked out to the public. I won't be the first to build one, I'm sure. I'm sure I'm not the first. The plugs, they are O-ring, straight thread O-ring. They call them AN plugs. Dot calls them by their dimensional name. You could buy if I bought this block new, it would come with a kit with all this stuff in it, and you can still buy the kit. However, the kit comes with a bunch of stuff I don't need, including cam bearings. I just wanted the plugs, so I had to shop it up, and I actually found the gold plugs are the actual dot plugs, so that's good. There's a bunch of them in the back. There's a bunch of pipe plugs. I downloaded the paperwork that would have come with the block as well. It's 12 pages, I believe, of all the specifics of this. So it would have come with the block. It's the first thing I did, so I knew what I was dealing with, what the potential sizes were, and I happened to have all somewhat luck because I was sitting there ordering, let's get 6 of these, and it happened to be I needed 6, stuff like that. So that was non-scientific. I knew the approximate size, and I'll be able to plug up the block. I'm spinning down a rabbit hole here. Head studs, again, they're 6-bolt cylinder, 23 total, I think they call it. I've read it as 18 or 23, but the outside of the ARP box is a 23-bolt cylinder head, which this is. Dot LS Next specific, LS7 head. I've stole a set for almost $500. Most of them are $600 or $700 for a set of head studs. That hurts a little bit, and if they actually made up to my heads, I may have to do some drilling and tapping, boring holes. Who knows? It's going to be an adaptation, but I have the head studs, and that hurt, but I might as well just get it out of the way. I bought GM Performance MLS gaskets for 200 bore. Let's talk about that. It's very interesting. The GM Performance block, they say the max bore is 4.200, and their newest part number is 4.250. Dot says this block is max bore at 4.185. I believe the area of concern is right between the cylinders. You can't make that bigger by casting a different block. Your bore spacing is what it is, And that's going to get smaller the bigger the holes come. So apparently GM thinks it's okay to have the Siamese portion closer together. So it's very possible. I bought 4 185 pistons. I'm just going to hone the bore and put it back together. I think I could get another oversize out of it, maybe a couple. If I go all the way to 4 200, that's 15 thousandths. So hopefully in the future, if I ever had to go that way, I wouldn't have to throw the block away. So something to think about. I just now put it on this engine stand. This is my original engine stand. It's been out in the woods. And at lunchtime, it was rusty and broken. And it's always had issues with the adjustable pieces. So I had actually stripped an engine stand and I put my tubing bender on it. So I had an extra set of arms. Long story short, a quick coat of the worst paint I had. I think I paid $1 for it at the hardware store. This engine stand is ready to go. What I like about it, it's tall, so you're not bending over to work on the engine, and the engine sits perfectly level. I've built many big blocks on this. This is, again, my original engine stand that I've had since I was a teenager, and it is rugged. The other day I went by a yard sale. A nursery had closed, and they had about 50 of these stools, $5 a piece. I only bought 2, and I wish I bought 2 more, but that ship has sailed. The heads, we'll be digging those out in more detail in a few weeks probably. I'm taking the titanium intake valves and the sodium filled, whatever they are, Inconel exhaust valves. I really don't know what they are. I'm sure they're very nice. Out of the Ilmor engine program. I have 2 sets. One set looks brand new. I will be retrofitting those. The intake valve fits. The exhaust valve, I need to cut the seat 5 thousandths bigger. Should be a big deal. Figure out the spacing on the springs and all that stuff, but they're black label, offshore casting, the cheapest LS7 head probably in the world, sold by a lot of people. I hear they're not bad. I've been studying them. I took them out of the box expecting for them to be completely gross, and I really can't see much wrong with them. So we'll see when we start, looking them over. But hey, again, this is as low buck as you could possibly get. As far as that goes, I had the K1 rods, 6 1/8 long. These are the 4 185 pistons I bought. They're Moly forged, coated. They were sold at, I forget the name of the engine shop, but they stuck them on eBay. $399 to $1,100 set of pistons. So it came with rings. The ring has to have a support for the oil rail because the pin's up into the oil rail. Super short skirt. The pin's correct for my rod. If you study LS stuff, the factory pin diameter on an LS engine is like 943. They soon figured out that a traditional small block Chevy, because this end's 2/100 like a traditional small block Chevy, all the aftermarket rods were 9.927. That's what these are. So if you're shopping for LS pistons, know the difference. They're either going to fit an LS rod or they're going to fit an aftermarket rod, but they don't go both ways. So 927 and 943. That's the difference. So these came with the locks, everything I need. The rods, I don't remember where I got them. They look fine. They've been run, or at least assembled. Again, I don't remember anything about them. I've had them for a while. Miscellaneous parts, again, all the plugs, the cam plate. The GM block takes a special rear cover, and they all take the same front cover. The stock, you can buy a GM cover, they're about $50. I bought this one, ICT billet with the turbo drains in it, thinking that by the time I buy the aluminum 90-degree fittings and weld it in, it would be worth another $45, whatever this cost. When I get it, it looks like I did it. I mean, it's okay. It'll be fine. Got to grind the weld out of this one a little bit. It's not exactly what I expected when I turned around and looked at it. That's the way I do it. I bore the hole and weld them on the inside like when I'm doing an oil pan. It kind of left me feeling I should have bought the $40 cover and a couple fittings and do it myself. But anyway, it's what I got. I needed the cam sensor in the front cover because that's the style engine this is. Crankshaft, if you can see the box, is just an Eagle. I've read some bad things about the Manley cranks. I don't want to say, you know, I try not to trash other people's stuff, but you go on enough forums, they seem to have a breakage problem. The Eagle stuff, I ran my Eagle stuff way past what it should have been run with my 572. And again, it's a moderately low buck option. It's 700 and change. It'll be fine. I did source a takeoff ATI balancer with a keyway. The crankshaft has a keyway, so that's good. I like LS engines don't have a keyway, but I like to be able to actually set top dead center and not have the harmonic balancer move. Plus I'm going to run my oil pump off it and everything, so you want it keyed to the crankshaft. I have a Lenardi turbo cam. I actually got 4 kits. They're up over my head here. That's the camshaft I'm going to be using. I got a double roller timing chain with this engine, so I'm going to piece all that together. My limited travel lifters, still a hydraulic roller lifter, limited travel, and they fit right in the block. I've already put them in the tie-by. They don't take the plastic GM style lifter trays, so that's a win. I'll have to measure and get push rods, but next step, I need to clean the block, hone the block, tap all the holes, chase all the holes, get it outside and get it cleaned. I have a air sprayer that I spray, I can't remember what I bought last time. It's not lacquer thinner. It might be lacquer thinner. It does a really good job. It doesn't leave an oily mess, and I just oil the cylinders afterwards. That's what I've done in the past. I actually have a video about it when I was doing a bunch of small blocks a couple of years ago, which I need to get back on and finish, by the way, because once again, I'm building an engine not on my hand crank engine stands. Both my small blocks are sitting on my hand crank engine stands. And yes, I did build those on the stands, but it seems I need one more. So, or, you know, get the engines finished and off the stands. So that's enough of my rambling today. Thanks for watching. This last couple weeks I haven't been able to do this week I did not do a midweek update, but I wanted to at least get this project highlighted, so when I bring you back and I've done some work to it, we'll understand where we are, and I will cover anything that happens in detail. I don't know if I mentioned, it's no longer a 396, it's now 185 bore, 4-inch stroke. That's 440 cubic inches. Actually kind of on the big side, some would say, for a twin turbo setup, but for my BorgWarner S366 turbo, should light really fast, and they claim that's 1,400 horsepower worth of turbos in a short block that should handle that. Beyond that, I'd need a different forged crank, probably different forged rods. Well, we're not going that high. I mean, I've already increased. I mean, I would, big picture, if this race 55, I'm sitting under it, looking up at it. Now, an 8-second street car is pretty stout. This has a chassis to go 6.0. I don't see myself doing that, especially with this engine platform. Nor do I want to. I'm at Ben 750s, 180. That's plenty fast. Things happen quick. But if it did have enough power to dip into the 7s, that'd be pretty cool. But what I like about the hydraulic roller LS motor is you can drive it. My concern with my big block Chevy was, you know, the valve train is kind of fragile because it had a lot of lift. And that remains today. If you watch the drag and drive events, you know, they've figured out a lot of stuff to run that much lift and drive it without wrecking it. But the LS stuff, pretty solid. So that's it, I guess. So I have 440 cubic inch LS7 style heads. I did order an intake. It's not here yet. And yeah, that's that. And so far, I'm still under budget. Hopefully it remains that way. And I will tally everything as we move along. Thanks for watching. Catch you in a couple days.